Awesome. Thanks for coming in. So I'm Ekin from Infinite Arcade. We're basically a gaming platform who is trying to build a play and earn economy for players and also being an on-ramp for the casual gaming studios. I'm working on the economy side of things alongside with data scientists, analysts, and game designers. And today I just wanted to summarize the state of the industry for you guys, what I think will be the big change that we need to be moving towards and how we can make that change. All right, so everyone is aware there's great news in the industry. It's booming. I think in Q1 overall, the Web3 gaming industry grew more than 2,000%, and this is amazing, tremendous growth. You can see various stats for the industry in the slides, but the not so good news, if you will, is that majority of the gaming projects out there right now, they're suffering from the inflation that they're getting both on their fungible tokens, but also on their NFTs. So the prices of these tokens are decreasing day by day, and investors are pulling out. Players are not making the money that they used to make previously, so they're hopping on to the new game with the promise of giving them or earning them big bucks. And this basically feeds the downward spiral of people leaving that ecosystem. Also, we're also seeing some security issues and pitfalls within these projects affecting thousands of people at the end. And this makes me think that we're moving at lightning speed, right? And maybe it's a good time to just slow down a little bit and really refocus on the designs that we're building and how sustainable it is. And I mean, the reality of it is it's really early days, right? We're trying to solve the same thing. No one has come up with an ideal solution yet that proved to be successful. And there are various ways to go there. We see a lot of projects experimenting with different models. 1 tokens, 2 tokens, 3 tokens, or even like no tokens. If you look at the fungible tokens that they have in the project, they are also experimenting with different levels of rewarding logics. So what that brings us as a result so far, what we're seeing in the industry is there are a lot of different models out there, mostly being unsustainable as is. They are mostly dependent on the influx of new users. You need to put an initial investment into the game to be able to play the game and earn within the game. So a lot of the scholars or gamers are reliant to the guilds to make that initial investment. And I think this is the main point that I want to make here, is that there's a lack of diversity within the gaming audience, right? 99% of them, their sole motivation is to make money. So I wouldn't even call them gamers, right? They're Web3 audience who are investing in these gaming projects, whether through their own money or through time, if you think about the scholars. And they don't really care about the game whatsoever. They care about the earnings or the ROI that they will get. I don't know if this causes the fourth point or vice versa, but if you look at the experiences and the games themselves, the quality is not there. If you compare it to the Web2 games that we're seeing out there who are doing really well. That's why the not so big idea that I have is, I think, realizing that it's not sustainable as is, up to the point that we've built so far in the last maybe maximum 5 years. and really changing the mindset, right? Really focusing on the entertainment side of things, creating fun games for people to play, and the main motivation or the primary motivation of majority of the users being there just to play and have fun from the game. And that's what I meant from like creating real value. Because that entertainment, that experience is quite valuable, right? There are like billions of dollars being spent in games every year in Web2. Why not move that towards Web3 with the experiences? With that said, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all solution of building a sustainable gaming economy. It really depends on your vision, what you want to build, the different dynamics within the agents in your economy. And it's great that other projects are experimenting with various ways of solving this with different models. Okay, so hopefully we're in agreement that what we're doing right now is not going to be sustainable in the long term, and there's a need to shift the mindset that we have right now. And how do we do it? I want to comment on 6 different topics here, starting off with the vision. So I think as a project overall, but also in gaming too, the most important thing is to be able to create that end vision, end state for your project, and not really building a game for the sake of building a game and trying to make billions of dollars in 2 months, right? That's not going to happen. And really thinking about the stakeholders that you want to attract within your system, within your economy, and the values that you will enable for them. The second one, the content, the obvious one, focus on building the game, building the experience. I see a lot of gaming projects with this in the beginning as well. We're trying to find, okay, what is the best tokenomics, what should be the maximum supply, what should be the staking structure for my token. I wouldn't advise to go into that detail in this stage, but really focus on the game itself, and then the tactics will follow. Maybe you'll realize that you don't even need staking. Probably you don't. So these things will come in later on once you really know what you want to build. For the community itself, again, think of the real gamer that you want to attract to your project, and not really put something on your white paper or like in your experience because it looks good for the investors, or it will attract a certain type of people when you're kickstarting the economy, right? And really having someone or presenting something to the economy that they can root for you on the long term, and not hop on to the second project if you're struggling. In terms of growth, that's I think the real advice that I want to give here is to start slow. A lot of projects are trying to do like 1000x in a month, in 2 months, and I don't think, I mean, speaking from experience, in our model at least, if we grow in a hyper-growth speed, then our economy will collapse. And we can see it very clearly in our model. So we're like, okay, let's take it slow. Let's focus on the growth. But at the same time, relate with the community, get feedback from the community, and build on top of what they really need to see or want to see on the platform. This also comes with the idea of not having everything on chain. Think about the things that you might want to change in the future, or maybe it's too big of a thing in the economy that you don't want to risk not having control at the beginning, and put these off chain. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't have to be 100% on chain when you kick off the project, and maybe some of the things will forever be on off-chain. Even with our project, some of the aspects are on-chain, some of them are off-chain, and it really gives us flexibility to be able to test things and iterate with the community. And I think that's the most valuable thing that you can make when you're at the starting stages in a project. The next one is team. Like obviously, it's quite important to be able to have the enough like human resources in the project, but also the background and the skill sets are quite important. Being a hiring manager myself, I really am focusing on the skill sets rather than putting like job titles out there on paper. So really focusing on the background or the skill set for that role or the needs. So an economy background, for example, might be very relevant to a game design team. And variety of backgrounds, like people from the academia is quite interested in going into this space. People from different industries are interested. So I think being open to those candidates and having a various team really will result in a bigger and better outcome. And that brings me to the last point, where having both Web 2 and Web 3 backgrounds within the team, because like, let's face it, the gamers that we want to attract and onboard are on Web 2 playing games right now. So if we just focus on building a world or a mindset on Web 3, that might not make sense for them. And really migrating and bridging that gap in between, I think we need different mindsets within the team. And then lastly, partner. So I'm in the Discord servers of the top like 10 to 15 gaming projects, and people are reading industry news. And every morning I read the community sentiments and the community chats. In there, I learned a lot from the other projects and what their community is saying, the feedback from them. And I think it's quite relevant for every gaming project out there, learning from these experiences and also sharing your experiences very openly with the industry as well. And I'm all for building together. I don't think any one single company will solve it all by themselves, even though at the end, maybe on the news, we will just see one big company who made it all. But I think it will be a result of collaborations within the space. And I am feeling resistant from especially like individual gaming projects to partner up with other companies within this space. So I really encourage people to be on the lookout for relevant projects that might make you reach to that end vision that you've set for yourself. Okay, so I talked about what I think should change and how we can change these. And then I want to basically go into the economy design specifically. I have 4 things that I want to share with you guys, which I think is important to have in a gaming economy for it to be more resistant to any pitfalls, and also I think we'll have a better chance of making it in the long term. The first one being diverse roles within the system. You can define it in various ways, but basically you can't have 100% of your audience just being grinders, right? And maybe having like different game modes here might help. Having a free-to-play version within the game alongside the play and earn, that might help. And also, after you basically have those different roles within the system, then you need to create value flows between these agents, right? So crypto unicorns, and I think the game Photo Finish, if I'm not mistaken, the horse riding game, they have different gameplay modes, which attracts different kind of gamers. And within their economic loops, they're dependent on each other. So they can't really rely on one specific type of gamers. They need all to make it work. And even though one is not that active, let's say, then the other loops will continue the economy. whoops, sorry. Okay. The third one is incentives to own multiple assets. Let me think of an example here. Atlas Metaverse, I don't know if you guys have heard them. They have a similar approach to what we think as well. They have different casual titles within their portfolio, and they have different type of NFTs where the stats of each NFT is favoring a different type of game, whether if it's a puzzle game or an action game. So to be on the top tier as a player, you need to buy multiple NFTs, and you're incentivized to have multiple assets within your wallets to be able to have a better experience. And lastly, scarce rewards and assets. Again, the example for this one is Alien Worlds. So they have a finite amount of rewards that they can distribute on a daily basis to the planets that they have in their metaverse. So it really helps basically to not really print tokens every second without an actual ceiling. Another way you can do this is having prize pools in your daily rewards, right? The last example I want to give, which is somewhat related to this one too, is from Step N. Even though I'm not 100% sold on the design of it yet, I think having the NFT durability system within their economy really helps. So it's not that you have the same value. You have to repair your sneakers and invest and maintain those NFTs. And then lastly, I wanted to give you guys a brief intro of how we are approaching to all of this, our vision of our economy for Infinite Arcades. So we see it as a three-step approach, and we want to basically match the audiences that we want to attract, but also the existing ones in the community that we have right now. And we're in a unique position where we can attract Web3 players through guild partnerships, but also marketing efforts within the Web3 space. On the other hand, we have the studio connections and we have our own game, so we can tap into the normies to onboard them to Web3. So in the first stage, what we want to do, basically being smart on this and really tapping into the existing Web3 audience, right? And what really works in terms of tactics and initiatives from other projects, what really drive traction. The second one is where we want to bring additional stakeholders into the system, like NFT artists, different game studios, expanding that pool, and creating different value flows within these agents. So one way that we will be trying to solve this is through the opportunity of game discovery. So if you think of, let's say, we want to aim 1,000 games within our ecosystem by the end of the year, there will be a problem of game discovery. How will people choose which game they will play? So there are unique opportunities there where we can maybe connect different partners with the studios so they create visibility or drive traffic for their apps. So the second stage is mainly to start deepening that economy and having various value flows. The last one is the expansion stage, where we're betting on the mass adoption of gamers and coming into Web3. And we want to be one of the ones that influence that change. Obviously, we don't want to sit around and wait for these gamers to come. And when that happens, we want to be able to create that experience, that gaming experience for them, and have the relevant initiatives for this type of audience. So as an example, the cosmetic marketplace that we want to build is on stage 3, right? If we were to build that on stage 1, no one will use it. It's just a waste of time. No one will care about naming their NFTs, or if my gamer NFT is blonde or or not. So I think really matching your initiatives and projects to the community that you have, existing community, and also planning for the future, the audiences that you want to attract to the space, will give you a long-term sustainability, in my opinion. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you so much for listening. How am I doing on time? Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, if you guys want to chat, just ping me on Telegram, and I will be on the main stage at the back after this, so come find me if you want to chat. Thanks.